Dear friends, thank you for being here today. When I think of the words my world, my wonder, I am reminded of the quiet strength that guides my steps, the people who inspire me, and the responsibilities that shape my purpose. My world is not defined by walls or crowns. It is defined by service, by the desire to contribute, to learn, and to grow. And the wonder comes from the journey itself, from moments that teach me who I am becoming. Middle I have been fortunate to grow up surrounded by examples of dedication and respect. I have learned that service is not a duty we perform from afar. It is something we live every day through our actions, decisions, and compassion. Among the greatest gifts in my world is my sister, Sofia. She has been beside me in places of celebration, in moments of responsibility, and in all the small, quiet spaces of life that truly matter. Our bond is one of trust and companionship, and it has strengthened me more than words can express. There are memories I hold very close, moments where the weight of my future role became clear to me. When I gave my first promise of loyalty, I understood that the role I inherit is not only about tradition, but about people, about their hopes, their concerns, their dignity. It reminded me that every step I take must be honest, thoughtful, and committed. My military training has also become an important part of this journey. It teaches discipline, courage, and humility. It reminds me that leadership is not a position you are given. It is a responsibility you earn through perseverance and readiness to serve. Future reflection, as I look ahead, I carry with me a simple but powerful intention to give my best, to honor the trust placed in me, and to contribute to a future that is fair, humane, and full of hope. To me, my world, my wonder is not a title. It is a promise, a reminder that the greatest wonder lies in the chance to serve, to uplift others, and to walk forward with purpose. And impressive closing, thank you from my heart for standing with me, for your support, your faith, and the shared belief that together we can build something meaningful. My world is brighter because you are part of it, and the wonder continues because we move forward side by side. Let us keep walking toward a future shaped by understanding, courage, and hope. A sense of duty has always felt less like a weight and more like a compass, quiet, steady, and always pointing me toward something greater than myself. It is not something I carry for recognition, nor something I learned in a single moment. It is something that has grown with me, shaped me, and remained at the heart of how I see my place in the world. When I look back, I realize that this sense of duty did not come with grand declarations or dramatic turning points. It emerged slowly through the values I witnessed daily, the examples set before me, and the understanding that my life, in many ways, has been entrusted with a purpose beyond my own dreams. Duty to me is not about perfection. It is about intention. It is about offering your best even when no one is watching, and remaining steady when eyes are on you. It demands sincerity, patience, and a willingness to listen. Most of all, it teaches humility, the kind that reminds you that leadership is not about standing above others, but about standing with them. I have come to understand that my path, while unique, is not isolated. It is deeply connected to the hopes of many, and that connection obligates me to grow continually, to learn, and to remain grounded in the values that define service. As I move forward in my roles, I remind myself that duty is not performed only in the public moments captured by cameras or remembered in ceremonies. It is lived in the quieter steps, how you treat those around you, how you respond to challenges, how you rise when expectations feel overwhelming. It is in the hours of preparation, the commitment to understanding before acting, and the courage to make decisions guided not by convenience but by conscience. There is a kind of beauty in duty when one accepts it fully. It transforms from an obligation into a calling. There are moments when the magnitude of responsibility feels very real moments, when I sense the weight of the generations that came before me and the expectations of those who will come after. But I have learned that duty does not ask me to be unbreakable, it asks me to be sincere. It asks me to stay true to my principles, to honor the trust placed in me, and to remember that service begins not with authority, but with understanding. I know that I must grow into this responsibility, and growth always requires honesty about strengths, about weaknesses, and about the willingness to improve. One of the greatest lessons I have learned is that duty is strengthened by the people who surround you, those who guide, who challenge, who support. Each one becomes a part of the foundation you stand on. Their presence reminds you that service is never a solitary act. It is collaborative, shaped by shared efforts and collective wisdom. The people who walk beside you, both in public roles and in private life, become part of your purpose. They help you stay focused when paths become difficult, and remind you why responsibility matters even on the most ordinary days. I have come to see that duty also means representing not only where you come from, but what you stand for. It means being mindful of every word, every gesture, every decision, because each one carries meaning. This awareness does not frighten me, it motivates me. It encourages me to learn more about the world beyond my own experiences, to understand different realities, and to recognize that service requires compassion before action. It requires the willingness to listen sincerely, to act thoughtfully, and to lead with integrity. In recent years, I have begun to understand duty through new dimensions. Training that challenges the body, disciplines the mind, and strengthens resolve has shown me that commitment is not just a value, it is a practice. It is built through persistence, through rising early, through facing the unfamiliar with determination. Every experience becomes a lesson, teaching resilience, teaching patience, teaching the importance of responsibility not just in symbolic moments but in everyday actions. And each step reinforces the understanding that duty is lived, not declared. Sometimes, when I reflect on the future, I think about the kind of person duty calls me to be. Not only someone who carries responsibilities, but someone who understands their meaning deeply. Someone who seeks unity instead of division, who values truth above convenience, and who approaches challenges with courage balanced by empathy. I know that I must continue to earn the trust that has been placed in me, not through promises, but through consistent, thoughtful service. Duty also means embracing change with clarity. The world evolves, and with it, expectations and challenges evolve too. For me, duty is not about holding on to the past simply because it is familiar. It is about honoring tradition while stepping confidently into the future. It is about recognizing that service today requires understanding the needs of a new generation, responding to global realities, and finding ways to contribute meaningfully in a world that is always moving. What inspires me most is knowing that duty can be a source of strength rather than pressure. It gives direction when paths seem unclear. It anchors you when uncertainties arise. It reminds you that your efforts are part of something greater, something lasting, something that touches lives you may never meet. That, to me, is its greatest wonder, the quiet, steady force that shapes every step with purpose. As I continue on this journey, I hold close the belief that fulfilling one's duty is not about following a predetermined script. It is about being present, being thoughtful, being committed to the good you can do. It is about remembering that leadership is not inherited by title. It is earned through actions, through consistency, through sincerity. And every day offers a new chance to embody that. I carry this sense of duty not as a burden, but as a privilege. It allows me to serve, to learn, and to gradually grow into the person I hope to become. It reminds me that every decision counts, every gesture matters, and every effort contributes to a larger purpose. And as I walk forward, I hope to let this sense of duty guide me with the same quiet strength that has shaped my journey from the very beginning. If you'd like, I can continue with the next theme as well. There are people in our lives whose presence is so steady, so natural, that we rarely need to explain how deeply they shape us. For me, that presence has always been Sofia. She has been there in every chapter of my life, sometimes quietly, sometimes with laughter that fills every space, and sometimes simply by standing beside me when words were not enough. Her companionship is one of the constants that gives rhythm to my days and balance to my steps. It is something I never take for granted, because it has become one of the most meaningful parts of my journey. We grew up sharing the same hallways, the same classrooms, the same small adventures that never make it into public view but remain the most precious. In all those moments, I learned that companionship is not built only through the big gestures. It grows in the everyday through shared glances that say more than words, through the comfort of knowing someone understands you without any explanation, through the quiet trust that no matter where life takes you, you will never be alone. That trust has always been at the heart of my relationship with her. What I cherish most is that she has never treated my responsibilities as something that distances us. Instead, she has walked with me, not behind me or ahead of me, but right next to me. There is a kind of strength in that, a reminder that even when responsibilities feel overwhelming, there will always be someone who sees you simply as you are. She knows my worries without me having to speak them, and she celebrates my joys as though they are her own. That kind of companionship shapes not only your days but your character. There have been moments when I felt the weight of expectations more intensely, moments when I understood that my path would sometimes demand resilience, composure, and courage. In those moments, she became a quiet anchor, not by giving advice or trying to solve anything, but simply by being there. Presence can be its own form of strength, and hers has been one of the greatest forms I have known. She has reminded me time and again that responsibility does not mean isolation. It means having someone who believes in you even when you doubt yourself. As we grew older, I began to appreciate the depth of her loyalty. It is effortless, honest, and unwavering. She never tries to imitate my steps, nor does she try to shape them. Instead, she supports them gently, respectfully, and with a sense of understanding that comes from knowing the heart behind my choices. And I, in turn, have learned to see her dreams with the same seriousness she brings to mine. That mutual respect has become the foundation of our companionship. What I admire about her is her ability to bring lightness even to the most serious moments. She has a way of grounding me without ever diminishing the importance of what I do. When days are heavy, she finds the small joys that remind me life is not meant to be lived only in moments of solemnity, but also in the warmth of shared memories. She helps me see the beauty in routine, the meaning in the ordinary, and the balance that comes from not taking everything too seriously. Her presence is a reminder that duty and humanity must walk together. There is a unique comfort in sharing a journey with someone who understands both the public and private sides of your life. She knows the person behind the formality, behind the expectations, behind the poised exterior that the world often sees. And because she understands all those layers, her companionship feels genuine. It is not shaped by what I represent, but by who I am, and that is a rare gift. It is easy for people in certain positions to feel distant or misunderstood, but she has ensured that my world has never felt lonely. I often think about the moments we have shared in places where cameras were absent, where there was no audience, just the two of us navigating our own paths while knowing they are connected. The simplicity of those moments taught me something important, that true companionship is not loud, and it does not demand attention. It grows quietly, patiently, and with a kind of intimacy that only comes from years of shared life. It becomes part of you, shaping your sense of self and reminding you of where you come from. When I reflect on the future, I find comfort in knowing that no matter the responsibilities that come my way, her presence will remain a constant. She has her own path, her own dreams, and her own strengths, and I admire each one. But even as our lives evolve, I know that the bond we share will continue to be a source of grounding, courage, and warmth. Companionship like hers does not fade, it deepens with time. I also recognize how much she teaches me: patience, empathy, understanding. She shows me that strength is not always in speaking, but sometimes in listening, not always in leading, but in walking together. She has a way of seeing people as they are, of making them feel understood, and of reminding me that leadership must be rooted in humanity. Her influence is gentle but profound, and it continually shapes the way I hope to approach the world. There is a special kind of gratitude that comes from knowing you have someone who sees you for more than your responsibilities, someone who believes in your abilities even when you question them, who shares your laughter without hesitation, and who stands beside you in moments when silence carries more meaning than words. That gratitude is what I feel every time I think of her. As life moves forward and our roles evolve, I hope I can offer her the same steadiness she has offered me all these years. I hope she knows that her companionship is not something I simply value. It is something I rely on. It has shaped my past, supports my present, and will continue to guide me in the years to come. She is, and always has been, one of the strongest constants in my world. And even though we may not always express it in grand gestures, every shared smile, every supportive glance, and every step taken side by side tells the same story, that this companionship is one of the most enduring parts of my life. It is a strength I carry with me, a comfort I return to, and one of the greatest gifts I have ever received. If you want the next part, I can continue with the same tone. Hope has always felt to me like a quiet light, one that doesn't demand attention, yet somehow guides every step forward. It is not loud or dramatic. It is steady, almost gentle, but strong enough to steady the heart when uncertainty rises. Strength, on the other hand, is something I have learned to understand not as force or perfection, but as resilience, steadiness, and the willingness to keep learning even when the path is unfamiliar. And when I bring these two together, hope and strength, they shape the way I look at the future, not with fear, not with hesitation, but with a sense of purpose that becomes clearer each day. As I grow into my responsibilities, I find myself thinking often about the kind of future I want to help build. Not only for myself, but for the people who look toward tomorrow with expectations, with questions, and with dreams. I know that the world we are stepping into is complex, filled with challenges that demand awareness and courage. But it is also filled with possibilities that inspire me. I do not see the future as something to be feared, but as a landscape we can shape through commitment, compassion, and an honest desire to improve the lives of others. Hope, to me, begins with believing that progress is possible even in moments of uncertainty. It begins with trusting that every action, no matter how small, can contribute to something meaningful. And it deepens when I see how many people work every day to make their communities stronger, kinder, and more resilient. Their efforts remind me that the future is never built alone. It is the result of many hands, many hearts, and many minds working together. That thought motivates me deeply. It helps me understand that whatever role I take on, it must be guided by collaboration, by listening, and by the belief that unity gives us more strength than any challenge can take away. Strength, I have learned, is not the absence of vulnerability, it is the courage to acknowledge it. It is the determination to rise even when expectations feel overwhelming. It is the discipline to grow through discomfort and the patience to accept that not every answer will come immediately. I have discovered that real strength is found in willingness, willingness to serve, willingness to understand, willingness to adapt. It is found in the moments when you stand firm not because you feel certain, but because you know your purpose matters. There have been times when I felt the future pressing close with its questions, times when I wondered whether I would be ready, whether I would be strong enough, whether I would be able to fulfill what is expected of me, but every time such thoughts appear, I return to the values that have shaped me since childhood. Values that remind me that strength is not something you suddenly gain. It grows with you. It grows through experience, through education, through the willingness to take on responsibilities with humility. It grows through understanding the world not only through your own perspective, but through the eyes of others. When I think about the future, I try to imagine it not as a distant destination, but as a shared path. One that requires patience, understanding, and hope that goes beyond personal ambition. I want to contribute to a world where people feel seen, where fairness is more than an aspiration, and where young people feel empowered to participate in shaping the world they will inherit. The future, after all, is not an abstract idea. It is the result of choices we make today, and I hope my choices reflect kindness, responsibility, and a commitment to unity. What gives me strength is the belief that challenges are not roadblocks, but opportunities to rise to our best selves. Every difficulty teaches resilience, every uncertainty encourages growth, every responsibility invites reflection. And in all these moments, hope becomes the bridge that leads us forward. I have seen how people come together after hardship, how communities rebuild, how individuals find courage even when circumstances feel overwhelming. Their stories remind me that strength is not always visible, but it is always present in the determination to keep going, in the kindness offered to others, in the steady progress that continues, even when unnoticed. As I prepare for the roles that await me, I understand more clearly each day that the future I hope for cannot be built by standing still. It requires commitment. It requires learning from the past without being confined by it. It requires embracing new ideas, new voices, and new ways of working together. I want to move forward with the belief that no matter how complex the world becomes, there is always room for compassion, for cooperation, and for hope that inspires genuine change. Hope also teaches me to see the world through the lens of possibility. It teaches me to believe that dialogue can overcome division, that understanding